Welcome to the Brendan Brown's Clutches of Facts and Theories podcast show. I'm your host, Brendan Brown, and today we have another special guest, which you've already known if you've seen the podcast, a wonderful friend, a wonderful person, a wonderful motivator. His name is Jeremiah Patterson. I've had him on the show recently, I believe for something about the politics. Then before that was the Thanksgiving special I had last year around this time earlier. And then the first time was when I started the podcast. So this is our fourth time having him on the show and our first time having him on the YouTube channel. So, hey, Jeremiah, how are you doing and how has life been for you?
I'm great. Life has also been great in terms of podcasting and everything. It's really been exciting as this year has been. It's been interesting, lots of ups and downs, but it's good to have made it this far, 12 months in.
Yes, man. And what are you currently doing, just personally in your life and passionately besides, podcasting being your passion? What else are you doing passionate-wise? Or is podcasting just your only passion? And like I said, what are you doing personally in your life currently now?
So in terms of my passions right now, I'm working on improving my dancing, which has not really been a focus of mine last year, but this year I've become more social. So I'm working on improving my dancing, as well as like some other things like reading more, so I can expand my vocabulary. Also, working on playing my instrument more so I can really improve with that.
So yeah, about that dancing, I never knew more about that. Let's dig into that. Let's talk more about that. So how is dancing, what made your interest be into dancing?
So this year, one of the people that I started looking back into was Selena Quintanilla there. Selena Quintanilla Perez, famous Tejano music singer. She unfortunately was murdered in 1995. But throughout her career dancing from 1985 to 1995, even before that, as she was singing, dancing is it's one thing that's I guess it's sort of essential in Hispanic culture. And there are like specific dances like cumbia and bachata and some other dances. I have like a basic understanding of bachata and also like salsa. So I'm working on doing those. I'd say like one of them that I have really mastered would be cumbia. So that's going to be exciting. Hopefully I can master the rest of them.
That's really great. And then I know vocabulary reading, you told me that. A fun fact to tell you guys, don't tease him, don't laugh at him. He actually reads dictionaries for fun, which is very intriguing. In my opinion, it's very intriguing. And, he also plays the instrument. I believe he played a saxophone. Am I correct, right? Yeah, he plays a saxophone.
Yes,
okay,
saxophone and trumpet.
Let's dig into that too. So what really inspired you to do that? And, also what are you doing more into that right now?
In terms of the trumpet, I started playing the trumpet in sixth grade. I was transitioning from fifth grade to middle school, and that's when I decided, in terms of my electives, I wanted to do something like a little bit different, something that I had never really done before, but I also enjoy. And I chose the trumpet as one of my instruments, and it was one of the greatest decisions I've ever made. So 2018, about a year into middle school, I became influenced. When my grandmother introduced me to Kenny G, famous soprano saxophone player. So I started looking into Kenny G's music, watched his videos, became a huge fan of Kenny G. Actually, got to meet him here in Texas in 2019. And so, yeah, it's been great. And Kenny G actually inspired me to start playing the alto saxophone. So I've been playing the alto saxophone for a while. Need to work on it a little bit more, also improving, but it's been great so far. In terms of what I'm doing right now with the instruments, on the trumpet, I'm preparing for a Valentine's Day special. At my high school on the 14th, I said, whether or not I have a girlfriend on Valentine's Day, I will still do this. It's become like a mini tradition of mine. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And personally, we already know what's going on with their Valentine's. But if you guys want to know more about it, we can talk about it on Discord. But with Kenny G, actually, he actually has an HBO Max series. If you actually watch HBO Max, and any audience who is looking at this,
Yes.
I looked at it recently 2 days ago. I said, Kenny G. I said, I need to tell Jeremiah about this because I know he likes Kenny G. So any of you podcast audience looking at that, please research it on Google after this episode is finished. And if you're a big Kenny G fan, well, if you have HBO Max, go get him because, hey, I think it's amazing. I never watched Kenny G. I did watch one video of him on YouTube, but that was it. But yeah, and it was courtesy of Jeremiah because I looked at his video, so that's the only way how I knew about Kenny G. But my mother knows about him, so that's another fun fact to know because I did learn somewhat of him by my mother. But back to you, Jeremiah. I can really tell from this podcast that you're very much more sociable. You're very much more talkative because I remember you used to always be introverted, and you're starting to come out there a lot, and that's really great. And you guys who are looking at this, please know that if you're looking for inspiration to be more sociable, I did already interviewed Zachary Ford before Jeremiah, and Jeremiah is another guy who's really trying to look forward to being more sociable because my friend Zach and my friend Jeremiah, they're both trying to be sociable in their lives, and I'm grateful for that. And anyone, like I said, who's looking at this, look at them as inspiration because they're trying their best and they're doing great at it by trying to be more sociable. I was just right there rambling. I was just like, what the heck am I saying? But at least I said the right thing. So the next one is, reading off my phone, the question, what are you currently doing? No. What inspired you? I already said that, I think. I think I already said that. What inspired you to do what you're doing, or what are you currently doing personally in your life? I think I already said that. But if you want to answer that again, you could. Any more things beside this stuff
I say
you were saying earlier?
So like a big inspiration in terms of the podcast was in 2018 when my grandmother introduced me to podcasting and sort of like the concept of it. I love telling the story. So she was listening to like this contracting podcast, and I had a basic understanding of what contracting was. I just had never heard of a podcast before. And so like around that time I was on YouTube and doing YouTube and everything and releasing videos, but I wanted to like expand my audience and do something that would perhaps would be more enjoyable. At that time, I was still an introvert, so I was a little bit hesitant about putting myself out there, especially on YouTube. So that's when I got into podcasting and like the audio and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And that's when I got more into it, started editing and finding out more about it, started typing up podcast scripts, and day by day it became even bigger.
Well, that is just wonderful. That is amazing. And you guys, I just wanted to tell you, if you don't know, but my super fans know this and Jeremiah knows this, if you want to figure out how this podcast became what it is, he is the reason why. The Lord allowed him, and I don't know if you associate yourself with this faith audience, but for me, I'm a Christian. He's a Christian, and I believe that the Lord Jesus Christ, he allowed me to meet Jeremiah in middle school of 2019. That was November because he was about a new student at River Oaks. So how the story went was that I talked to him. We talked about podcasting. I asked what it was. He told me it was like a YouTube channel, but more for audio. And I wanted to start in November 2019, but I got nervous. So I postponed it all the way to March when the pandemic started. So I released my first episode on 21st. And ever since then, I've been doing podcasting. Jeremiah has inspired me to do what I'm doing right now. And, the Self-Improvement 101, I never did all this, when I first started. I actually was just all over the place. I did news because he did news topics. So I said, let me do news topics and gaming and other things. And then I figured out what mostly standed out. And most of my content that stand out when I did it at the time when I was all over the place was gaming content and self-improvement content. So I realized that what I can do is separate them both and make them into two different podcasts, because I always seen Jeremiah did multiple podcasts, which allowed me to do multiple podcasts. And now, as you hear now, I got inspired by Jordan Green, a YouTuber, the No Job Podcast, many other podcast shows that did self-improvement, and That's just where I'm at now, talking about passion podcasting. But overall, the podcasting format got inspired by him. But everything else was through other inspirations. But mainly the inspiration from all this is Jeremiah Patterson. Just fun facts to tell you guys that. And also, Jeremiah, thank you for everything, because without knowing you and being your friend and everything, this podcast wouldn't be the way it is. I probably wouldn't be here to motivate you and help you do what you do, because I'm going to tell you guys, I have some credit in helping him get to where he's at too nowadays. And same thing for me. So vice versa.
Definitely.
So, hey, we're like the best friends. We're like the best duo, Batman, Superman type. So, guys, I hope y'all just really just am enjoying this episode, and, like and share and subscribe and follow him, because his content is really great. He's always into politics. I forgot to mention that. That's part of my questions. I'm so mad at myself for not answering that yet. So he's a big politics fan. I forgot to tell you guys that. And his podcast is about news, politics, and history. So talk about that, Jeremiah. What inspired you to talk about news, politics, and history? And, that first, and then we'll get deeper into that.
So when I started the show, so that's literally been my motto for like 3 years. And all three of those things are like what interest me the most in terms of like the world. So like news, I've always been a fan of like watching the news since I was like super little. When my grandfather first introduced me to like news segments and everything, and like watching the news and like news hosts. And I've always been intrigued with like reading newspapers and like reading articles on news sites and getting factual information and supporting and appreciating journalism. History, I'm a huge history fan. Whether or not if you just started listening to my show, or if you've been listening for a while, I always usually start off with like a historical story that ties in to something that's currently happening. So all TJPS listeners are sort of like accustomed to this now. And I just love going back into like the history books and like helping explain things, the current situation, so that people can understand it. Also that people can get like a little history lesson. Like occasionally I'll release specials on history. So most definitely. And then politics, I've been intrigued with the political world for like a super long time. Since like second grade, I've been intrigued with politics and all of its actors and what makes our democracy actually function.
And fun fact to tell you guys, I actually know I like history too, and he likes history, and we both been doing well in history. We both helped out each other in history because we're big history fanboys. We like listening to history. So that's one fun fact to give both of us. And another fun fact is that he wants to be a president, which I believe he will be a president, and maybe be the second African-American president of the United States. And that would be amazing, because we need more like that. We need more to pursue our community, not just our community, but let's get the Mexican presidents. Let's look at the Asian presidents. Not even joking, being serious here. Let's get them, because, it's great to see diversity in everything we're doing, Even with the movie Shang-Chi that recently got released, that was like the Black Panther for Asian people, not being racist, just being honest with you. And, it's a blessing to see diversity. So, continue to do what you're doing, Jeremiah. And I'm really, really hoping to see you become the president of what you're doing, But do you have any advice to give to people who are wanting to pursue podcasting, or even wanting to pursue politics, or even be a president?
In terms of, I'm going to take the first part of that question first for podcasting. When it comes to podcasting, when I first started off, I really did not know what I was doing. But then I guess it sort of came natural to me. And I guess take it slow at first. Also, listen to those who try to give you advice. But also once you sort of blossomed, once you start, you're not going to like experience this huge boost unless you're like a famous person. So like once you start, do not be discouraged by that like little growth, like two people listening per day on a specific episode. Like once you do get to that point where like you're seeing like 40 plays or 300 or like 20 plays on a specific episode, do not let that get to your head where you start to like change up your content or try to change up your personality. Always be true to yourself, in a sense. And I always thank the audience for helping your show grow over the years, and throughout the weeks and days to keep that motivation booster going as well. Yeah. So I mean, it's always important to think of those things and always remember where you started in terms of episode growth, and I guess where you used to be, and also what inspired you. Like when you get to those really low moments, just think back on why you got into podcasting in the first place, and who pushed you and who motivated you,
and that
to get there.
So true.
So were you going to say something?
That is so true. And, you know, all you said is what I actually went through as well, you know. I actually changed my content. Like I said, you know, before I did self-improvement, I used to change my content just to get views. And sometimes it would get big views, sometimes it would get low views. And, you know, like how you said, being used to getting small views, I understand that, because when I changed my topic at the beginning of 2021 to be self-improvement, I've been getting lots of drops because it was mostly that. But now it's rising. Recently, I gotten 98 plays last year. Then I got 102 or 3 plays recently 2 days ago. And then, 5 days ago. And then 2 days ago, I got 81 plays. And that doesn't happen a lot.
Wow.
That was once in a while. And now when I make my money from podcasting, because I had got $5 from that 100 plays, when I got that 81 plays, it went from $5 to $7. So that went up quick, because usually it takes up like cents. So, you know, guys, I just want to tell you that to bring you motivation. You know, you got to wait, because look, it took me a whole year, but now I'm starting to get more audience. And like I said, just to add on to what you're saying here, don't just rely on podcasts, rely on the social media, rely on your community website. Like Anchor literally allows you to use WordPress for free if you don't know any other, you know, website builders to use. But I would guarantee to use GoDaddy, because that's more simpler. But if you want to use WordPress or Wix or however, do you, as long as you're comfortable if you do that. But try to find a way to reach your audience beside your mainstream, because even with superheroes, mainstream is the movie theaters, but people know the characters more from video games as well, or even from comics. And that's just like with us as content creators. Our mainstream is YouTube or podcasting, but our other things, like our comic books, are like our social medias. Our toys are like our websites, basically. It's somewhat like that. Make it like that, you know, just to add on what you're saying. But, you know, continue on what you were saying.
In terms of inspiration, also for podcasting as well. I mean, there have been some parts where I've been like working on like things to like improve the show, like getting a mic, or like being in terms of like higher production with podcast scripts and also audio equipment. I mean, there are times where I've literally played like audio from my TV or phone just to get it into the mic for my listeners to get that audio. I mean, and it's not always been the best. I mean, one of my first interviews was on a cruise ship where you could barely hear the interviewee. But things do eventually improve where you get into like smaller spaces and you get better equipment. Now I have a professional mic here where I'm able to record my episodes into, where it sounds nice and clear. I mean, that's good. You're not going to start with everything, but you eventually will. You eventually will grow into something bigger than
build up that momentum. Like how if any of you guys watch it, audience, or even you, Jeremiah, watch Think Media, Sean Kennel always said, and just watch his recent Think Media podcast episode, he talked about the law of preparation. I love when he says that, because, or even building momentum, because, you know, building momentum doesn't have to just be you. It's everything around you. It's you. It's your audience. It's your platform. It's your equipment. Everything will build up its own momentum, its own growth. And, you know, fun fact to tell you guys again, I have the same mic as Jeremiah as well, the Samsung Q2U. And I believe that's the best recommended mic to buy. I'm not sponsoring it or anything, because the only thing I actually am going to use is these glasses. These are not a sponsor, but they're affiliate marketing. These are J Black glasses made of Italian acetate stainless steel polarized lenses. If you want to know more about them, click that link tree down below. Use my 10% coupon code BOOSTER10, capital B. But let's continue on. That little marketing there. but but what can you tell us for people who are looking to pursue their career, even pursue maybe a purpose in politics or news or history? What can you tell them that?
For this one, my top advice for this one would be to stay true to yourself. Also make sure that you have a basic understanding of the field. So you want to make sure you study for either you're going into journalism or the political world, or history in terms of teaching others. Also make sure that you make an impact. Someone once said, I'm going to paraphrase here, is that I guess if you die, and once you have died, and people are still talking about you in a way that is positive and it is beneficial and it is productive, then that means you have left behind like a legacy. You left behind an inspiration to others, and you do want to make an impact wherever you go in the world, whatever you do in terms of your careers, whether that's becoming a journalist, one of the best journalists out there, or in really improving in that. Also, if you want to become a musician, you want to becoming the best musicians out there, or one of the best politicians that the world has ever seen. I mean, it's important to pursue these things in a way that at the end of the day, people are going to be like, wow, I'm glad I knew that person. I'm glad I work with this person. I'm glad I was friends with this person. I mean, it is a huge responsibility, but it is something that you definitely do want to inspire others, and also you want to enjoy yourself. Because if you're not enjoying something, then it's going to be hard to make that type of positive impact.
I always tell people, follow your purpose, follow your passion. You know, I may sound crazy, it may sound cliche, or however you think of it, but when you follow it, you'll feel more better and more relief, because you're doing what you love doing, just like with you. You know, you said that you don't want to do the podcast full time, but you don't know what God may have planned for you. And that's even with your purpose, guys. Mm-hmm. Don't just think that it's what you want. It's what God placed you to do. Like I said, this all wasn't coincidence. God placed Jeremiah in my life for me to pursue my passion in podcasting and being a content creator. I always said I wanted to be a YouTuber before meeting Jeremiah, but I never took it seriously until I met him. So you got to realize, guys, that sometimes people place people in your God, he'll place people in your lives, and sometimes God may place something in your life for you to do better. And like how Jeremiah said, you know, just continue to go through the ups and downs, because it will help you in the long run. You know, well, consistency is the key, like I said in my last interview with Alexis. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this wonderful episode with Jeremiah. Jeremiah, do you have any final things to say? Any advice? Any skills? Any stories to share? Anything?
2022 is going to be hopefully an incredible year. It's going to be interesting. I know I have a lot planned for the podcast in terms of like upcoming projects that I've been like secretly working on behind the scenes. So I'm going to be releasing those next year. It's going to be exciting. But yeah, I'm definitely ready for next year.
That's really great, because, you know, next year's coming up, but guess what? The audience who is watching this are already in 2022, because this episode will be released around February 2022. So audience, if you're looking at this, please don't get confused. We are not time travelers. We're not nothing. What happened is that we pre-recorded this episode so it could be uploaded in 2022, guys. It's currently December 2021. Where we're recording, so hopefully you don't get confused. But like I said, I don't know what's going on in 2022, but hopefully everything's going great in 2022 for me and Jeremiah. So this is just a little note to our future selves. So hey guys, this is us in the future past. This is us in the past. But yeah, I really enjoyed this interview with you, Jeremiah. Once again, guys, this is Jeremiah Patterson. He is a podcast host, a journalist, a future president. Everything. He's everything you need for motivation when it comes to podcasting or even politics, news, history. please make sure to go check out his podcast. Links will be down below. Check out his TikTok because he also has a TikTok. And I believe that's everything I have to say, but we're going to have one more thing I want to talk about, and that's his TikTok. So about TikTok and social media, how has that really impacted you in your life, and what are you looking forward to doing more with social media besides not just TikTok, but everything, if you're doing more?
TikTok has had like a huge impact on my life. I remember when I first started YouTube, and I post like these small videos like back in 2012 or 14 and 15. And it would take like a while to get up there, days, perhaps weeks, even months to get like lots of views. But with TikTok, I was surprised of how fast I grew. Like views coming in like super, super fast, lots of followers. I mean, that was just incredible. With the podcast, I've also put it on there and I've gotten lots of feedback on TikTok, also followers, and also lots of people coming from TikTok to the podcast to check it out. So it's been a huge boost in terms of like promoting the show.
That's real good. That's real good, man. Like I tell you guys, use social media because it will help you with anything, even if it's a podcast business, whatever it is. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this wonderful podcast episode. Hopefully you enjoyed everything. And like I said, make sure to go follow him. Make sure to go check out his content because it is amazing. It's going to be better in 2022. So have a blessed day, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. And goodbye, everybody. Don't leave. Self-Improvement 101. Self-Improvement 101. If you're determined to do it, you'll be disciplined to do it. Self-Improvement 101. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Self-Improvement 101. Woo! Self-Improvement 101.